Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Good morning. It is so good to be here. Let's get acquainted. My name is John. I'm your friend. On a count of three, give me your name. 1, 2, 3. Nice to meet you. Well, worship was amazing, wasn't it? I mean, was this like an exception? Or is this how you have worship every week? No wonder Randy can preach so well. If you can't preach after that worship, you weren't called. You folks, when you go to heaven, you're going to want to come home on the weekends, aren't you, huh? Come on now. There's no place like this place, anywhere near this place. So this must be the place. Yay, God, yay, Bayside, huh? What a beautiful group of people you are. I just feel so honored to be here with you and to be with Randy and Amy. Beautiful, beautiful people. You know this, don't you? I know you know this, but I've got to say it anyway. In Randy, you truly have one of the top pastor leaders in America. You know that, right? You got that, huh? Loves you, loves the church, just beautiful, beautiful team here at Bayside. And thank you, because you certainly have come alongside our nonprofit organization, equipped with your generosity, and have helped us because we train leaders around the world. I wish I had time to tell you some of the incredible stories about leadership and what we do in the secular community, but I would just say bottom line, it's very simple. This year alone, just this year alone, our nonprofit organization will have led 148,000 people to Christ outside of the church. Just reach them. And so thank you very much. Are you ready to learn? Are you ready, huh? Here, look at your neighbor and say, you're going to learn something. Go ahead and tell him that you're going to learn something. Look back at him and say, that's why I brought you. That's why I brought you. Get your paper ready, your iPhones, iPad, whatever you take notes on, because I want to talk to you today about perspective, about possessions. And let me begin by just saying, I wish that instead of all of us here, I wish it was just you and me, okay? Just you and me, and you were sitting right here on the other side of the table, just the two of us. And if you'd asked me, John, I want to really make my life count. Outside of always sharing my faith first, that's always first. There's not even a second, it's just first. But outside of that, if I were to sit at the table with you and you and I were to have a one-on-one conversation, you say, John, I want to make my life count. I want to live a life of significance. I want to live a successful life. What advice would you give me? What I would talk to you about at this table, just one-on-one with you, is your perspective. How you and I see things determines what happens to us. What we see and what we think. It's so essential. And so many people, because their perspective is wrong, they see things wrong, things happen wrong. And I would like for you to begin to understand that, that as we begin to get a proper perspective about life, about people, about God, about possessions, then everything begins to clear up and everything just begins to incredibly, beautifully change. When I go to the dentist, the last thing they do is they talk to me about, they give me some dental floss stuff. You know what I'm talking about? They say, go floss. Go floss. I'm not even sure dentists will go to heaven. I'm not sure. I pray for them, but they'll, go floss. And what they're saying is, get over there and floss those teeth and, get all that stuff out of it. What I wish is, okay, forget dental floss for a moment. I wish that every head had like a zipper on the top and you could just open that sucker up and you could give people mental floss. You know what I'm saying? You could just say, come on, just open it. I gotta floss that sucker. I gotta wash that baby out. You follow me? Because I promise you, you don't see things as they are. You see things as you are. That's why two people can see the very same thing and have totally different conclusions. And the moment that we begin to understand that it's our perspective that helps us to reach our potential. Once my perspective is correct about a lot of things, today I'm going to talk to you about possessions, but the moment that my perspective is correct, good things begin to happen to me. How many of you want good things to happen to you? Could I see your hand? That's just an IQ test, folks. If you didn't raise your hand on that one, you can go home now. I mean, I can't help you. I'm not even sure God can help you right now. You're just going to have to understand. You got to understand that if good things are going to happen to you, it begins by how you see things and how you see people and how you look at your possessions. So let me just give you 2 or 3 thoughts quickly on perspective, and then I want to dive right into what the heart of the message is. So here we go. Number 1 is, these are all just what I call perspective principles. How we view things determines how we do things. So my perspective determines my actions. Good perspective, good actions. Bad perspective, bad actions. Here's another one. What you see is who you will be. We are attracted to the things that we see, the things that appeal to us. So what we see literally determines in time what we will be. Here's another one. When we change the way we look at things, the things that we look at change. I used to do a considerable amount of counseling. You know, when I would do the counseling, they were always wanting to talk to me about someone else and fixing someone else. And, you know, if you could just fix my spouse, if you could just fix my kids, you know, and very seldom do they come in and say, could you just fix me? Could you just help me, help me to get my perspective right, my act together? Here's just one more, and these kind of run together here. What I believe about life determines how I perceive life, which determines what I receive from life. Perspective. It is so essential to your life and to your success. So let me illustrate the importance of perspective and the difference of perspective by reading to you now something that's quite amusing. I'm going to read to you from a dog's diary and a cat's diary. And when I'm done, you'll understand the differences of perspective. Here's the excerpt from a dog's diary. 8 a.m., dog food, my favorite thing. 9:30 a.m., a car ride, my favorite thing. 9:40, a walk in the park, my favorite thing. 10:30, got rubbed and petted, my favorite thing. Noon, lunch, my favorite thing. 1 p.m., played in the yard, my favorite thing. 3 p.m., wag my tail, my favorite thing. 5 p.m., milk bones, my favorite thing. 7 p.m., got to play ball, my favorite thing. 8 p.m., wow, watch TV with the people, my favorite thing. 11 p.m., sleeping on the bed, my favorite thing. That's the excerpt from a dog's diary. Let me give you excerpts from the cat's diary. I see the train a-coming. Day 983 of my captivity. My captors continue to taunt me with bizarre little dangling objects. The only thing that keeps me going is my dream to escape. That's the difference in perspective right there. Same house, same house. So let me give you perspectives, 4 of them today. 4 perspectives about possessions, our stuff, the things that are ours, okay? And this 3 of the 4, not the 4th one, but 3 of the 4 come from the story of the Good Samaritan. You know it well. A lawyer came to Jesus and asked who his neighbor was, and then Jesus tells the story. It's on the screen. We're going to read it now. In reply, Jesus said a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And the next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense that you may have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to a man who fell in the hands of robbers? And the expert in law replied, the one who had mercy on him. And Jesus told him, go and do likewise. In this story, we have 3 different perspectives about possessions. The first one that I want to talk about is the robber's perspective. And the perspective of the robbers is just what you would think a perspective of a robber would be. What is yours is mine, and I'm going to take it. Now, the moment that we hear this perspective about possessions, every one of us in the auditorium and on all the different campus sites today, when we hear this, all of us begin to think, oh my gosh, well, thank God that's not me. I mean, what's yours is mine, and I'm going to take it. We most of us kind of feel a little bit, maybe just a little proud. We're kind of risen above the robber level. In fact, if you thought you were really sitting beside a robber, you would have probably prayed with your eyes open. So we kind of can really go through this perspective pretty quickly, because we kind of say, well, that's surely not me. And I bet it isn't you, and I would probably agree with that. But I want to remind all of us here today that we're not very far from the robber perspective. In fact, we were born with it. Yeah, we were. Have you ever watched a toddler? Have you ever thought about the toddler's perspective about possessions? I'll give it to you. Here's how a toddler looks about their toys and possessions. If I like it, it's mine. If I can take it away from you, it's mine. If I had it a while ago, it's mine. If I say it's mine, it's mine. If it looks like mine, it's mine. If you're having fun with it, it's mine. If you lay it down, it's mine. If it's broken, it's yours. This is what we're born with. We're born in sin. We're born sinfully selfish. And we think that everything evolves around us. And so therefore, if we believe that and have that incredibly selfish mindset, basically what's yours is mine, and I'm going to take it. I deserve it. I need it. And I would just stop here long enough. I'm going to number 2 in just a moment, but I would just say, just sliding by very quickly right now, that our culture today they're getting more of an entitlement mindset. And I'm here to tell you, you get an entitlement mindset, the next step is the robber perspective. What's yours is mine, and I'm going to take it. Well, let's go to number 2, because that's not us. In fact, look at your neighbor and say, that's not me. Go ahead and tell them. You can just say, that's not me. Now, if your neighbor wants to debate you on that subject, you may have a problem, okay? You may have a problem. But let's go to number 2, because if number 1's not you, number 2's going to be a lot of us. Perspective number 2. Now, this is the perspective of the priest and the Levite, and theirs is just this: what is mine, and I'm going to keep it. Their whole perspective was that their possessions were their possessions. And so therefore, they were going to keep it. And Jesus was very clear when he told the story of the priest, the Levite, and the Good Samaritan. He was very clear that we all realized that they went down the same road and they saw the man in trouble. In fact, he wants to make sure that we understand the priest saw the man that was robbed, the Levite saw the man that was robbed, and when they saw him, he said they went over on the other side of the street and they passed by. We're talking now about a selfish perspective. And let me tell you something about selfish people. They don't want to be inconvenienced. I mean, if they stop here to take care of the man, they're going to miss the people they were going to meet in Jericho, and they had plans for the day, and this is not what was in the plans, and this is going to cramp their lifestyle a little bit, and they just basically their whole world evolves around who they are and what they want, and they have a tendency to pass people by every day, pass people by that they could really make a difference in their life if they didn't want to be inconvenienced. I have a friend who told me this story, and I just love it, and it just relates so well to this point. His young son loved McDonald's French fries. And so, on Saturday morning, he took his boy and they went to McDonald's and he got him a pack of fries, and they sat down at the table and they're just talking, and his son's just eating those McDonald's French fries. And let me just call time out just for a moment to say they are good. I've had a few thousand myself. Yeah, I have. I think in heaven there'll be McDonald's French fries. They're just good. I mean, and when you smell them, you have to have them. And that's what happened to Dad. He's talking to his son. He's smelling and looking at those fries. That little boy's just enjoying eating those French fries. And so he just kind of automatically reached over to take a couple fries out of the pack. And when he reached over to take the fry, his son grabbed his hand and he pushed it back and said, No, Dad, you can't have any of these fries. These are my fries. And he said, I pulled my hand back and I looked at my son. I thought 3 things immediately as a father. Number 1, he doesn't understand where those fries come from. I'm the source. Without me, he has no fries. He doesn't understand that the reason he's enjoying those fries right now is I chose to get them for him. I'm the source. My son doesn't understand. When he says, no, Dad, these are my fries. He doesn't understand. I'm the source. He said, number 2, he doesn't understand. I can take those fries from him. Yeah. With that kind of attitude, son, you get no fries at all. I'll take every one of them. He says, I got the power to take all those fries from him. He doesn't understand. I'm not only the source that brought them to him, I've got the power to take it from him. Or he said, if I want to, I can go over. If I want to, I can go over to the counter and I can buy 100 packs of fries. And I can walk back over there and I can bury him in McDonald's French fries. I can bury him. Now, when he told me that part of the story, I thought, oh my gosh, what a way to go. John, how do you like to die? Just bury me in McDonald's French fries. Just let me kind of eat and smother myself to death. And if you reach in to rescue me, I'm going to smack you. What a way to go. How did he die? He said, my son doesn't understand. I'm the source. My son doesn't understand that I have control over those fries. Take him from him, bury him in it. He said, number 3, he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand. I don't need his fries. If I want to, I can go right back to the counter and have my own fries. He said, what bothered me was that all I really wanted to do was have a few special moments to share those fries with him. I just wanted to, as a father, enjoy what I had blessed him with him. He said, what bothered me was his selfish attitude. After all that I had done for him, he literally thought that those fries were just his. And you know, selfish people, if you've got this perspective that what is mine, and I'm going to keep it, you cheat yourself. Whenever I see a selfish person, I want to run up and say, I know that you think you're holding on to what you have, but because you're holding on to what you have, you're losing what you could have. Oh, you shut the door of your selfishness so you could have it all by yourself, and that shut door kept out all the other incredible blessings that could have been yours if you would have opened it. What's Proverbs 11 say? A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. In other words, the scriptures just tell us when you refresh others, you're going to get refreshed. Well, what happens if you don't refresh others? You won't get refreshed. And so when you're selfish and you have this second perspective, what's mine is mine, and I'm going to keep it, I promise you, you're going to live a very lonely, closed, fruitless life. But there's a third perspective. And to be honest with you, the third perspective is where we want all of you to be. And most of you probably are already here. There's another one's higher than this. But if you ask the average person, they would say that the perspective I'm about to give you, which was the one of the Good Samaritan, is the highest of all perspectives about possessions. It's not, but it's the one that most of us know and are familiar with and live and value and appreciate. And so I'm going to give you that one. Then I'm going to give you a higher level for those who want to, go big time. You with me? Go big time. This isn't for everyone. The number 4 is never for everyone. It's just for the ones who want to go big time. But I won't give you that one yet. You're not ready for it. Got to take you one step at a time. Number 3. This was the Good Samaritan's perspective, and that was, what is mine is yours, and I'm going to give it. You see, when the Samaritan saw the man that was beaten and robbed, his action was different than the priest and the Levite. And his action was different because his perspective was different. The priest and the Levite said, what's mine is mine, and I'm going to keep it. I'm going on the other side of the road, and I'm going to walk on by as quick as I can. When the Good Samaritan saw the man, he said, oh my gosh, what's mine is his, and I'm going to give it. Remember, it's your perspective that determines your actions. Always does, always will. You see, all 3 of them saw the problem. The man was beaten. All 3 of them had the same opportunity. And all 3 of them had a reason not to help, because whoever stops to help is going to inconvenience and kind of mess up their day. And the priest and the Levite, they said, well, if I stop, what's going to happen to me? Well, I'm going to miss my schedule. And because a selfish person, it's all about them, all their considerations is about what's going to happen to them. But the Good Samaritan, when he saw him, he said to himself, if I don't stop, what's going to happen to him? Well, he's going to die. That's kind of obvious. But what isn't obvious is he's saying also in himself, if I don't stop, what's going to happen to me? You see, if you don't stop, if you have a selfish perspective of life, if you just kind of keep passing opportunities to serve and give and love and share and help and live, if you don't stop, what happens is your heart begins to change. It begins to be cold, calloused, apathetic, indifferent. You see, when When Pastor Randy talks about this being a generous church and the whole giving prospect, and you're talking about what happens to the wonderful people in Zimbabwe and the church and the dedication, it's all wonderful. You say, oh, because we're giving, look how it's helping them, look how it's helping them, and it is helping them. Yay, it's helping them. But what you got to understand is, look what it's helping you to be. Look what it's helping you become. You see, I believe a generous person, no matter how much they give, no matter how much they share, no matter how much they love, I happen to believe that the generous person always gets the better return. It just happens, folks. No, you're forcing it. You're forcing it. Don't force it. Don't force it. Good Lord. 7 of you are going, yes. And the rest of you are going, so don't force it. My name's John. I'm your friend. We're family. If I give you a point that's hard for you to digest, just wait a while. You'll catch up with it later today. You'll understand it a little later. About 4, you'll say, oh, that was good. Now, I'm going to give you the 4th point in a moment, but before I give you the 4th point, you do have to understand you're very special. I speak around the world, trust me. And I mean, from the moment that worship starts in this church to the moment right now that I'm sharing with you, you do understand you're very special. You have a real heart. You have a great heart for God. You have a great heart for your community. You've got your pastor's heart for the world. You are sitting right now. I got to go back and preach, but I just want to make sure you know this. You're sitting to your left and to your right as a very special person. Very special. Just don't clap. Don't clap. That's a little overboard. So don't clap. Just look at him and smile and go. Yeah. You're special. You're special. Yeah, you're special. Now let me see how special you are. Because I know you're special, but I'm going to just see how extra special you are. Because this 4th perspective is going to blow your mind. And it's a biblical perspective. Here it is. Are you ready? Okay. I don't want you to miss this. I know you're ready, but I'm not sure the person on your left is. Are they okay? They okay? They're ready? Here we go. Number 4. Here we go. This can change your life. In fact, before I give this to you, look at your neighbor and say, this can change your life. Go ahead and tell them that. This can change your life. This can change your life. In fact, look right back at him and say, I hope it does. I hope it does. I hope it does. You good? Are we good? Here we go. Here we go. Fasten your seatbelts. This is huge. This is the biblical perspective of possessions. What is mine is not mine. And I'm going to manage it. What is mine is not mine, and I'm going to manage it. Psalm 24:1, the earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, the world, and all, not some, not most, all who live in it. It's all the Lord's. The earth is the Lord. Everything's the Lord's. All the people are the Lord's. It's all the Lord's. What's mine is not mine. And I'm going to manage it. It's not mine. It's the Lord's. Everything I have, everything in my life that I have right now, it's not mine. The time I have right now to share with you, it's not my time. It's God's time. My gifts, my spiritual gifts, they're not my gifts. They're God's gifts. How are we doing out there? Wow. It's not mine. Now, don't force it. This is high level. We're Mount Everest here. We're Mount Everest in our thinking and our perspective here. So just stay with me. When I was 28, I had the 10th largest church in America as a pastor. And I had my mentor, Fred Smith, take me out one Sunday after church. He said, this will be a long lunch, John, because I got to teach you something. If you don't get now, You've got to get it now, so I'm going to stay with you until you get it. And we had a 3-hour lunch, and he said, John, you're highly gifted. You've got gifts that are ridiculously off the charts. You've got a huge church, and people love to come and hear you speak and communicate. And he started talking about the gifts, but he said, I want you to understand something about the gifts you have. They're not yours. They're God's. God gave them to you. That's why they call them gifts. You did nothing for them. You're not so spiritual that God said you're the most spiritual person in the world, so I'm going to give you these gifts. He said, in fact, I know you. You aren't the most spiritual person in the world. He said, they're gifts, John. They're gifts. They're not yours. They never have been yours. They never will be yours. So don't act like they are. They're not your gifts. God gave them to you. And God gave them to you to bless people and to add value to people. And he said, that's why he gave you those gifts. He wants the gift to keep on giving. He said, but understand, they're not you. Never confuse your giftedness with who you are. He said, I know who you are. You're very human. He said, let me explain it this way. You're just about one step from stupid. Isn't it amazing how he gives people one step from stupid gifts? And he said, never confuse when the people applaud and the people buy your books and when the people attend your speaking engagements and when people become part of your coaching company. He said, never forget, it's the gifts that are amazing. It's not you that are amazing. So when they come up and say, oh, John, you're amazing. You're not amazing, John. You're John. Just be a friend. That's the best you're going to ever do. It's your gifts that are amazing. That was life-changing for me. Every time I walk off of the stage, I was just asked last week to, next April, do a leadership partnership with the Pope and spend 3 days with him teaching leadership to hundreds of thousands of people via satellite. And every time I get these opportunities and every time I get these moments in my life, I look at him and I say, John, there's nothing amazing about you. It's the gifts that are amazing. And every time I walk off a stage and the people are on their feet clapping, they're not clapping for me. They're clapping because they've experienced the giftedness. They're not my gifts. They're not my gifts. And so the moment that you understand this, you don't take yourself serious anymore. You just kind of crack up at yourself. You know, because you just laugh and he's like, I know who I am. I'm one step from stupid guy. And they're buying my books. This is amazing. You know, this is amazing. You know, you sure you want to buy those? You know, whoa, huh? Can I talk you out of it? By the way, Randy is a friend. And he takes me out on the golf course and he's a real good golfer and I'm not a good golfer. And so every time we go to eat, he thinks I need to buy the meal. And so he told me we were going to go out to lunch, and I looked and I don't have very much cash, and so what I really need is somebody to just bring me $100 so I can take care of Randy's. Oh. Well, thank you. Thank you. That's $100. Are there any others? This is just amazing. Look at this. He can't. As soon as I asked somebody to bring me $100, he just brought me $100. Wow. Love this message. You see, I'd like to go ahead and preach, but you're still trying to figure out what just happened. You're saying, what happened there? John asked for $100 and some kid runs up and gives him $100 and why did that kid do that? And you're probably now asking, why didn't I do that? And let me just help you folks. Let me just explain something to you. That was a total setup. That's a total setup. In the green room, I reached in my pocket and I gave Connor $100. I gave him $100. I said, Connor, I'm going to preach today. And when I asked for the $100, would you give it back to me? You see, the reason Connor didn't hesitate bringing me the $100 is he knew it wasn't his. The only fighting we do with God is when we think somehow the possessions we have are ours. You see, if I think my possessions are mine, I'm always going to struggle over tithing. If I really think the possessions are mine, when there's an opportunity to be generous and help a church in Zimbabwe, I'm always going to kind of say, well, you know what's mine is mine. You see, what you don't understand is what's yours isn't yours. It's never been yours. It's not going to be yours. And if you keep it, you don't get the other blessings that God has for you, because God has decided not to bless selfish, stingy people. So if I took a package down to the delivery place, and I had a friend I wanted to get the package the next day, so I filled out all the information and gave him the money, and you'll get the package to my friend, and sure. And so the next morning I called my friend. They said, well, no, I didn't get the package. What do you mean you didn't get the package? I just took it down to the delivery place to deliver the package to you. I didn't deliver it to you. No, I didn't get one. So I go back to the delivery place, and I said, you remember me? Oh, he said, yes, you were in there yesterday evening. I said, remember the package I gave you? Yeah, oh, yes. I said, you didn't deliver it? Oh, I thought that was for me. I took that home. Oh my gosh. That wasn't for me? Oh, no. No, you don't understand. It never was for you. I gave it to you to give it to someone else. You're the delivery boy. You see, my name is John, and I'm your friend. And I'm also God's delivery boy. Everything he gives me, I pass on. God will only give to you what he knows will flow through you. You're to be a river, not a reservoir. And you're God's delivery girl. Father, this message can change the lives of the people in this room and on the other campuses at Bayside. This message can change our lives. The moment that we understand, God, what is mine is not mine. And I'm here not to own it, not to hoard it, not to keep it, not to store it, but to manage it. And Father, we all want to hear you say, well done, good and faithful servant, someday. But those words, well done, good and faithful servant, were reserved for people who took the gifts that you gave them and they multiplied and passed on and reproduced those gifts. And for the selfish one who put his gift into the ground, you didn't call him good and faithful. You called him wicked. Help us to understand how we see things determines how we do things, and how we do things determines the fruit that we have in your kingdom. Help us from this moment on to look at our possessions differently than we have ever looked at them before. And bless this church, bless this congregation, bless Randy, Amy, the team here. My gosh, Lord, they're a great group of people, but Lord, if they'll get a grip on how possessions really work, this church is going to do in the next few years greater things than they have ever done for your kingdom, because they're going to have people that understand a generous spirit and a generous heart. God, cover them, bless them, and beginning today with their new perspective, begin to cover them with an anointing and a favor that you only give to those that you can trust with your possessions. And all of God's people said, amen. God bless you. I love you. I'm your friend. My name is John.